Goodbye. Senator Lindsey Graham has died after a sudden illness. A foreign policy giant who went from President Trump's biggest critic to one of his most stalwart defenders.
I'm going to be the Trump guy in the United States Senate.
How will Graham be remembered? His fellow South Carolina Senator Tim Scott is next. And Target. New strikes between Iran and the U.S. as Iran's supreme leader vows revenge. And President Trump says he's a target.
I'm number one on the kill list for Iran.
Can the president navigate an end to this war? U.S. Ambassador to NATO Matt Whitaker and Intelligence Committee ranking Democrat Jim Himes are ahead. Plus, the main issue. Democrats scramble to save their Senate hopes after devastating allegations of rape.
Nothing that happened that night was okay.
Lindsey Graham, Republican of South Carolina, has died at age 71 after what's being described as a brief and sudden illness. The chairman of the Senate Budget Committee was one of the most powerful and best-known senators, a former Trump critic turned fervent ally, a former protege of the late Senator John McCain. Lindsey Graham ran for president against Trump in 2016, called Trump, quote, unfit for office, and much more. But let's start right now with South Carolina Senator Tim Scott. And joining me now is Lindsey Graham's former Senate colleague, South Carolina Senator Tim Scott. Senator Scott, you obviously served with Senator Graham. You were the two senators from South Carolina.
He understood the power of change in South Carolina and how much our state had changed. But he was one of the first folks in the Senate to welcome me in with open arms.
Republican South Carolina Senator Tim Scott, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And our deepest condolences on the loss of your friend.
Thank you very much.
Much more in our breaking news. We're expecting President Trump to call in shortly to talk about Lindsey Graham and maybe some other topics. Plus, the U.S. strikes Iran, and Iran's leader vows revenge over the war. Stay with us. Rising sharply this weekend in the Middle East, the U.S. struck Iran overnight after Iran fired at a ship transiting the Strait of Hormuz, all as the president's relationship with Iranian leaders seems to be souring. And joining me now from Brussels is the U.S. Ambassador to NATO, Matthew Whitaker. U.S. Ambassador to NATO, Matthew Whitaker, joining us live from Brussels. Thank you so much, sir. Appreciate your time today.
All right. Thanks, Jay. Good to see you again.
The White House says that President Trump's going to call in a few minutes. We're going to have much more in our breaking news. We'll be right back. Welcome back to State of the Union. The world reeling from the sudden death of Senator Lindsey Graham. Joining us now on the phone is President Trump to talk about his friend and ally. Mr. President, thank you so much for joining us.
But I'm talking about a man who had nothing wrong with him, and that's Lindsey Graham.
But we would love to have you back sometime because I do have a lot of other questions for you, sir.
Sure. We'll do that. We'll do that.
Thank you for calling in.
We're trying to have CNN go in a normal path, and we'll do that.
Well, I'm on a normal path right here, sir, and I appreciate your time.
Good.
And thank you for calling in.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much. We'll be right back after this quick break. Welcome back to State of the Union. With tensions rising again in the Middle East, is the United States locked in a grinding low-grade war with Iran? Joining us now is the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, Congressman Jim Himes. Congressman, thanks for bearing with us during that sudden interview with President Trump.
But I will tell you this, the actual Air Force One, not the Qatari version, is really, it looks like a plane, but it's got some capabilities that you wouldn't believe.
Congressman Jim Himes, the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it, sir.
Thanks, Jake.
Coming up next, my panel weighs in on a very eventful political week. Stay with us. Welcome back to State of the Union. Senator Lindsey Graham, Republican of South Carolina, has died at age 71. Our panel's with us now. And David Urban, you knew the senator. Tell us lucky to have with us on our panel Brian Tyler Cohen, who has a brand new book popping on Tuesday. It's called The Day After: How to Wield Power in a Post-Trump World. Let's turn this topic of the conversation, if we can, to events in Maine this last week, where a very populist, anti-establishment Democrat. The book again, Brian Tyler Cohen's The Day After. Thanks for spending your Sunday morning with us. Fareed Zakaria, GPS starts next.